Over the last 10 or 15 years, really the big development within automotive has been electric vehicles. And so a lot of time, a lot of money and a lot of effort has been put into research behind electric motors and behind battery chemistry technology. One of the really interesting things that we've seen actually is the development then, using those technologies, of power tools. We now are leaning more and more on battery power tools in the motorsport environment. Historically, we would just have used pneumatic tools. So let's have a quick look at some of the alternatives that we use now and why they're so effective. Historically for us in motorsport, the real advantage of the pneumatic systems has really been the torque and the speed at which it can deliver that. Every second counts in a pit stop, and so the quicker we can get the wheels off and the quicker that we can get the wheels back on, the more chance we've got of our drivers winning races. The other thing that's really important there is the safety of that device. With pneumatic tools, they're inherently very safe as long as they're managed correctly, and so that's been an important thing that has led the development really of pneumatic tools, making sure that they're safe, making sure that they're repeatable, and ultimately making sure that they're reliable. Over the years, battery tools have fallen down on all three of those areas, but things are changing. And certainly now we're seeing a lot more repeatability and we're seeing a lot more speed at which battery tools can deliver their torque as a result of the discharge rate that the batteries within them can deliver. The real disadvantage of the pneumatic system is the lack of portability. It's the huge amount of equipment that we need to safely and reliably run that system. One of the big advantages for batteries is it's just one tool, so there's a lot less to go wrong. And in something like a pit stop, that means there's not a hose for someone to trip over. That means there's not a huge amount of equipment in the pit lane that could get damaged easily. It's a very simple piece of equipment that the mechanics can reliably use every time. Another real benefit we found in the battery tools is not just the repeatability of the application of the torque, but the repeatability of the level of torque. And by that I mean, with a pneumatic tool, as the air supply pressure drops, particularly when you've had a long day at the racetrack and the guys have been doing a lot of work on the cars, as that air pressure drops, the amount of torque that the gun delivers drops too. Of course it does. With the modern battery technology, there's such a level of precision that we achieve throughout the state of charge of that battery that we can continually rely on that gun to put that wheel nut, or whatever it is that we're using that battery gun for, to put that fastener on time and time again to exactly the same level of torque. And that's really important for us. Knowing that you've got a tool that's reliable and repeatable gives peace of mind to the driver, it gives peace of mind to the mechanic, but it also means you're likely to win that race rather than not finish it. Another really important point when you're considering these systems is the overall cost. That's not just the cost of the tool itself, but when you're talking about pneumatic systems, you also need to incorporate the cost of the compressor and the air storage systems, as well as the regular maintenance. These aren't costs that you have with battery systems, and so overall, over the life of the system, it seems far, far cheaper to be using the battery systems. The piece of equipment that you see here beside me is the piece of equipment that we set up in the pit lane when we're racing. It serves two main functions. First of all, it stores and delivers fuel for the mechanics during the pit stop. So when the cars come in during the race and we need to refuel them, this is the thing that ensures that fuel is delivered quickly and safely to the vehicle. The other main function of this device is delivering the high pressure air that we need for the air guns. So I suppose it makes sense for us to start with the compressor that we've got behind us. This is the thing that charges up the air bottles. We run it at about 300 bar for storage purposes, and that air comes into these bottles here. As you can see, there's 4 of them. They're big heavy things, they're about 200 kilos each. So with the weight of the entire rig, we're probably looking at about 900 to 1,000 kilos. That's a lot of equipment to move around. The high pressure air is then delivered from here to a regulation system. You can see 4 regulators that we've got here. Behind that, there's a lubrication system too. That regulated, lubricated air is then delivered along this boom here and down this hose here, ultimately to the gun. These guns are made in Italy by a company called Paoli, and they're pretty beastly. They deliver a huge amount of torque. They are quite heavy, but they're predominantly made of carbon fibre. The internals also are made of carbon fibre, which does make the gun a little lighter than it would be otherwise, but it also means that the maintenance cost of these guns is fairly high. Let's have a look at one of them in action. So as you can see, that's a lot of equipment to generate and store that air pressure and then to use it with the wheel guns. Instead, these days, we're more likely to lean on a battery equivalent, something like this. This is one of the new range of Milwaukee power tools that RS supply. It's battery powered. It's about the same weight as the gun, but of course the energy source is here rather than all of the equipment that we've just looked at. So let's have a look at how that compares in performance to the air gun that we've just seen. So hopefully that demonstrates that the performance of the battery tools that we're using these days in motorsport is comparable to the tools that we've been using for some time, the air tools. It's really important for us too that we maintain a safety margin with these tools, and compressed air, particularly the high pressure stuff, has its inherent dangers that we can avoid using these battery tools. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe for more engineering insight.